Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Shaleia.
Welcome to the Twin Flames Universe Talk Show, Episode 3, Alexander Finds God. In this episode, we meet Alexander as he discovers the core missing pieces preventing him from building his twin flame union. Alexander desires to unfold his purpose and find his twin flame at the same time. We invite you to listen in and share in his story now.
Jeff, hello.
Hi, Alexander.
Hi.
Hi, Alex. Is it Alex or
Hi,
Alexander?
Shaleia. You guys can call me Alex or Alexander. What's the one you guys prefer?
Cool, sounds good.
Cool.
So, how's your day going?
You know, it's been pretty good. And by the way, can you guys hear me right now? Because I'm on my headset and I'm just kind of like walking around.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Okay, cool, great. Yeah, you know, it's been like a real good day. Just been chilling, kind of enjoying everything.
Awesome.
And, yeah, you know, just enjoying like the warm California weather.
Nice.
Beautiful. Well, we want to welcome you to the show, and we're glad to have you on today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. Yeah, whenever Jeff gave me the opportunity, I was like, absolutely. So, yeah.
Awesome.
We're so glad to have you here. So the way that we'd like it to go is it's been pretty in the flow, and we'd love to hear your twin flame story wherever you're at on your journey. And if you have any questions that you'd like to bring up, great. And we'd like to help guide you forward and share our story as well.
Yeah, just kind of go in the flow, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, quick twin flame story about me and everything. So almost a year ago, literally almost like 365 days ago, it was Valentine's Day. So
Nice.
I met this chick at an Abraham Hicks seminar, and I was like, oh, you know, we had like this great connection, but it was the interesting thing about me and my relationships is that typically they kind of end quickly, or it's like, you know, I'm initially attracted, but then the attraction just kind of like goes away either after a few days or a few weeks. And this relationship was a little bit different, where it's just, you know, this was the first chick who, I guess the best way I could put it, could vibrationally keep up with me.
Nice.
Or so I would say it, and I was like, oh, like, this is really interesting. I've never seen or experienced this before, and I was like, you know, what's going on? And basically what ended up happening was I got to this point inside my kind of journey where I started asking, I was like, okay, like, why is it that I want to, like, be with this person so much? Like, you know, what's going on? Why do I feel like, you know, such a strong connection? Mm-hmm. And then the universe told me, you know, type in the word, like, you know, soulmates, twin flames into Google. And I started reading about that, and I was like, okay, like, I guess, you know, this person's my twin flame. And so
cool.
basically what happened was, yeah.
You sounded so sure in that. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was very interesting, because I was like, oh, you know, this is like the most perfect person for me, like, you know, all this,
yeah, makes sense.
Synchronicities, yeah, all the signs, all the synchronicities are there. Mm-hmm. But basically what ended up happening was, the more I kind of, I guess the best way I can put it is, the closer that I got into the relationship, where it's just like, I was like, oh, kind of like the more that I started energetically investing into it, the more this person like seemed to kind of disappear. And I was like, okay. And, you know, I didn't really think too much of it. I just thought, you know, just kind of along the lines, so I was like, oh, you know, maybe this person just needs space. And so I just kind of, you know, took that time to like really, really improve myself. And basically it's just all of a sudden, you know, I was just kind of like at this point where I was just like very open to the idea of like a new relationship, whereas this person was, the best way I can put it is that in your book, you know, in the book that you guys wrote, you know, The Ultimate Lover.
Twin Flames, Finding Your Ultimate Lover.
Yeah. You guys had talked about how, you know, a false twin flame, it's like, you know, this person will not want to be physically or emotionally close to you. And this was one of those things where it's just, this person, all of a sudden, it's just like, they would be like, oh, let's talk tonight. I'll call you at 8 o'clock. And I'd be like, okay, yeah, sure. And, they'd be like, I absolutely promise I'm going to call you at 8. And boom, 8 o'clock comes, no call. And then it's like, don't hear from this person for like 2 weeks. And then it's like, and then it's like I talk to them and they're like, oh, like I was supposed to call you? Oh, my bad. Or, I didn't like anything at all.
Sounds kind of flighty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, very. But, the interesting thing was, this was one of the first times in my life where I, even though I was definitely like physically attracted and emotionally attracted to this person, I would have actually been okay just having like a romantic or intimate relationship with someone else, but the reason why I was so drawn to this particular person was because this was the first relationship where this concept of like having a divine mission had really kind of kicked into place or, snapped into place in my life. And, having this person who in my mind or in my eyes was like so amazing and, was, just like this perfect match for me at the time, really showed me like, okay, like there's something that I have to do on this planet where it's extremely important. It involves, helping a lot of people. But I would, for the first time in my life, I was like, I really can't do this specific mission thing that I have to do on my own, and I really do need someone who can kind of keep up with me, but it's just like I need that person who's that perfect match. So, basically what happened was like for a few months, I kind of did that thing where I'm sure that everyone has done in their life, like, they go to the supermarket and they're like, oh, are you my twin? Just like looking around, just like, that's
eyeballing everyone, because you?
I've
you?
been there. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, we all been there.
Yeah, it's like, you go to like Barnes and Nobles, scout out like the metaphysical section, you're like, anyone here? You my twin flame? Nope. And
funny, I've done that.
Yeah. It's very funny because this happened for like a period of months, and Jeffrey had talked about it, where it's like the universe, or at least I thought the universe would say like, go to this place, show up at 7 o'clock, and you'll find that perfect person. And then boom, it's like I show up, and I might like, there might be some cute, attractive chick, she might even be into spirituality, but it's just like, what will happen is it's like, that person, it's like we'll talk, it's like literally after like a sentence and just kind of like being in that person's energy, I'm like, no, this person is not the one.
You already know.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And, that kind of brings me to where it is that I am today, where it's just, there's been so many changes in my life where I've not even kind of shifted my focus in business, but it's just like I've completely redirected my focus in business to more, I guess it's just like before I used to be very self-serving, which, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I was only focused on like, manifesting money for myself and manifesting physical things.
That's okay.
And,
there's nothing wrong with that. That's just where you were directing your attention, because that was where it was feeling good in that moment. Like because we listened to Abraham too, and I've resonated with that message even before I knew about Abraham. So and I guess you just experienced some contrast that created new desire in you for your twin flame.
Yeah, and the best way I can put it is that over the past, especially like 6 months or so, I've become more, I guess, service-oriented, where, it's just kind of like what you had said, there's nothing wrong with, serving yourself, and it's like we always have to love ourselves and take care of ourselves. But there's this thing inside of me where it's like, I can't say it even follows me every day, because it's just like, it is a part of me, where it's just like, I want to do something big for this world. And the thing that the universe keeps saying is, it's just like, you have to, not even that you have to manifest that person, but it's just like, it's necessary. It's not even like necessary. It's like mandatory. Like, it's more than mandatory. It's just like,
Alexander, actually, it's so funny that you're bringing this up, and I was excited to talk about it the first time you started speaking about this, but I'm really glad that you brought this up again, because Shaleia and I were just talking about this today, and we were looking at our greater mission for, involving our purpose. And ultimately, it's to manifest heaven on earth.
Yeah.
But we're looking at what we're doing right now, and it's bringing twin flames together and creating information which is going to bring twin flames together.
Well, I just want to interject for a second, because we're not manifesting heaven on earth. We're manifesting our heaven on earth, which will positively affect other people and ultimately create heaven on earth as a whole. I just want to clarify.
So definitely, and what you're picking up, Alexander, is the exact same thing that we're picking up. That in order to manifest your true heaven on earth, in order to manifest your true purpose and live it fully, you must be in union with your twin flame.
Yeah.
But I want to interject here, because I think this is a very important point I'm about to make, is that you don't need to be in your union now in order to be on purpose.
Exactly.
Or to be able to be living your purpose now, because eventually when you do meet your twin flame, your purposes are going to come together as one purpose, but you were always on purpose. Like for myself, for instance, I would always, and I was always on track to be doing spiritual teaching and coaching and writing books and videos. I was already on the track to do that, and I already knew in my heart of hearts that's what I'm meant to do. And I wasn't waiting for my twin flame to come into my life so that I could do my purpose. I could do my purpose now, because I am already I'm already a whole being unto myself that already has a blueprint for my purpose to be performed out.
But if we wanted to manifest the full extent of our full purpose here on earth,
take it to the next level.
We could not do it alone without our twin flame.
Exactly, and that's why our purpose led us to each other.
And what we're also discovering is that what we're also discovering is that in order to build anything in your life, you must build it on a solid foundation. You build it first on your foundation of your relationship with the divine, with the higher power, with God, with the universe, with Krishna, whatever you want to call it. Second, you build a relationship with yourself, and you can build it upon that. And third, you build upon a relationship and union you have with your twin flame. Everything else beyond that is juice. Everything else beyond that is secondary. Everything else beyond that is the extra. But that is the foundation. God, self, twin flame union. And that third part, the twin flame union, it's only just now surfacing and becoming apparent to this planet that, wow, you know, if I really want to take everything I can to the maximum, if I really want to manifest my truest, fullest heaven on earth, my twin flame's got to be there next to me, and we got to be doing it together.
Because when you're living heaven on earth, you are already in your state of oneness with your twin flame. So your twin flame must, by law of attraction, be in your physical reality as well.
So you don't need to, and you know this, Alexander, because you've taken the course, Twin Flames, Dreams Coming True. You know that...
Which is a great course, I will say.
Thank you.
Thank you. So what you were exposed to was that finding your purpose and expressing your own individual purpose magnetizes your twin flame to you. And as you're living your purpose fully, and as you choose it above all else, that's one way that will surely magnetize your twin flame to you very quickly and powerfully. If you're choosing your full purpose and you're following that, she's going to come into your life. She has to.
So this is everything is that it's like the point that I'm at right now is, you know, I want to say last year before Valentine's Day, whenever I had started having all this like twin flame stuff, I was always doing like business stuff, by myself and whatnot, and I was never really interested in doing business with like other business partners or anyone else, but all of a sudden what happened was because it's like my business is in like the tech industry, and it has a lot to do with just like the internet in general, but just tech in general, and it was kind of along the lines of what you guys had said, where it's just like that purpose, that truest, most divine, most fullest purpose has to be done with your twin flame, but at the same time, it's just like I'm kind of, so this is like one of those blocks it is that I'm at, which I would hope that you guys would be able to help me out with. It's just like, there's this thing where it's like, what I realized, this past year was it's like I was trying to bring all these different people into my business, and I was like, oh, maybe you could help me start this. Maybe you could help me start this. And it didn't work out because the universe gave me a very clear thing saying, like, no, you're supposed to do this with your true divine twin flame. And what I did was it's just like all the business momentum that I had in the previous years before, I just kind of stopped everything, and I was like, oh, I'll just wait till that person comes into my life. But what happened, that person hasn't come yet, but at the same time, I'm kind of at this point where I've started to ask myself, it's like, if I was being me in my truest, most fullest potential, just by myself, meaning that my twin flame hasn't yet fully manifested physically into my life, it's like, what would I do? And I started, because we had a chat last week, whenever we were having this conversation about, and you were, helping me out. Yeah. And I've started to do kind of what I would call, I guess, my individual purpose, or at least trying to do everything. It's like, if there was a parallel reality where twin flames did not exist, but, everyone had their own, it was like, instead of having a shared mission with your twin flame, it's like your own individual mission. Sure. I started to kind of like, get in touch with my own like individual mission. Yeah. Which, of course, eventually aligns with my twin flame. But the thing that I was going to ask here is, it's like, there's still a lot of resistance to like, because it's, there's this belief, which it's like, oh no, I have to do it. It's like, it's almost as if though I can't do anything at all until this person manifests in my life. And so there's like this tremendous amount of holdback. And I was just hoping you guys could kind of address a little bit about that.
I just want to make a quick comment here. I know Jeff wants to jump in, but I actually heard you say something that was actually very genius and actually contains the solution to your own answer. And that's this, you mentioned, I'm probably paraphrasing here, but imagining that you are living your life's purpose, and your twin flame's life purpose aligns with your purpose, meaning that they can operate and do operate as its own individual energy. And then like for instance, I imagine Jeff as kind of like my super PAC, We've been getting into politics lately, so I don't mind the political term. But really, I do. I see that he complements and amplifies and integrates a lot of my own purpose energy, but he aligns it perfectly. But I'm still operating as my own individual self. And we actually just had a business meeting a couple of days ago where we had to delineate our very specific roles in our business. And they're very different. We have very different roles in our business together, but it perfectly complements each other for this larger vision that I have been working toward my whole life, that Jeff has been working towards his whole life. But it's not dependent on him, because the only energy I'm dependent on is God. And God brings me precisely what I need in every moment and gives me the next step into moving forward in every moment as well.
So, Shaleia, you led me perfectly into what I want to talk about, which is God,
twin flame power,
control, and trust. So we understand God as the master of the universe, not just the creator, but the being energy of love that is intelligently behind everything and intelligently playing a specific role in our daily lives always. So this master of the universe created and creates and coordinates everything. God keeps everything in balance. And what I see, Alexander, is that you feel that a couple things. First, that maybe God's not big enough to fulfill your very, very big desires and dreams. And second, maybe it's your job because you don't think God's doing God's job.
Yeah.
Because, well, if it was God's job, wouldn't God have brought you your twin flame when you first asked for it? I mean, just think about that logically. Like, I asked for, asking it is given, right? I asked for my twin flame, but where is she? I went to the coffee shop, where is she? You know, I went to this place, where is she? I went to the bookstore, where is she? I went online, where is she? What you're not seeing, Alexander, based on your behavior, is that what you're doing right now when you let go is what's bringing you to your twin flame. It doesn't look like it logically because you can't see the bigger picture.
You can only really find your twin flame when you completely surrender, which is what Jeff does, letting go, which really means is trusting in the universe, trusting in God, trusting in yourself, that you are doing everything in your own power to manifest your twin flame, but it comes to a point where you really just need to allow the divine to orchestrate the rest of the details and trust that you are receiving exactly what you desire, because this universe is based on love, is created in love, and any desire that is bred from love, and desire means of the Father, you will get precisely what you want.
So I want to talk about something else, Alexander, and this will help your logic, your logical mind, your very powerful, logical mind. You specifically, your logic is extraordinarily strong, especially likely because you work with computers. So let me ask you this. How long would it take you to look through 10,000 Facebook profiles of attractive women? Just quickly glance at them. Just probably a lot of time. Just 10,000, right?
Yeah.
It's not your job to find your twin flame.
Yeah.
Look at it. If we have 7 billion people on the planet, cut that in half, 3.5 billion, maybe 10% of them are, women around your age that, could possibly be attractive. Well, that's like, 350 million people. How long would it take you just to look at their Facebook profiles if all you had to do is click the right key? Just click your little right arrow. Next, next, next. Maybe you could do 10 per second. Alexander, you can't do that. You got better things to do than click the next button and say, is it you, 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 is it you? Even if you had, a team of people who you gave criteria to, you couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Without the use of the law of attraction, without your understanding of the universe, you can't do it. You simply cannot. It's not logical. So, knowing this, your logical mind can have a little relief and say, well, there's got to be a better way than this, because Jeff and Shaleia found it, and I've seen other people and heard of other people who found their twin flames. Mm-hmm. Did they just get lucky? No. Because, look, Jeff and Shaleia and I are showing you and showing our viewers a particular way to take. There's a specific path.
I think one of the things I discovered was that I don't bring myself my good. God brings me my good. So I don't have to, when I feel like I have to rely on myself for strength, I feel very weak. Mm-hmm. And it never works out in my favor. But when I call upon the strength of God, and I know that it is God that moves mountains, and it is God that brings me my good, and that it is God who is my source, and it is God that is my love, I get everything, and I experience exactly what I believe. And so that's why, as a student of spirituality myself, I'm always aligning myself with what is truth. Because if I'm in alignment with truth, then I'm in alignment with what's real. And if I'm in alignment with what's real, then I am working into becoming a more conscious being. And that means that I have the power to direct my life in exactly the pathway I desire to go.
So let's talk about we're talking about, your foundation, right? You're looking for your twin flame foundation. But if you don't have a foundation in God, you can't build upon it. You can't have your twin flame foundation and do your purpose with your twin flame if you don't already have a foundation to build that upon. So we're talking about the most basic principles. And I can sense, I'm a divine channel, I can see into your mind. There's a part of your logical mind that says, look, maybe, and there's a strong possibility here, enough for me to continue to search for answers, God doesn't exist. Maybe all of this is BS. Because you're looking logically for a very strong, very solid foundation to stand on, because from that foundation you can actually build stuff. So if it's God, or if it's logic, or if it's money, or if it's power, or if it's ego, or whatever you want to call it, let me just sidestep here with a quote. And I can't attribute it to anything particular. I just saw it online one day, and it said this: "If I am a child of Satan, let me do acts of evil." Because once you know who you really are at your core, even if it is to do evil acts, then you're doing something in alignment with who you really are. So you need to find out, where do you come from? Who are you really at your core? Because if you don't know that, you can't do anything rightly. You can't do anything right by yourself. So what is your foundation? And I will argue that your foundation is God. And here's how I know that. Let's get really, really logical here. What can you know for certain right now? Right now where you are? Well, can you know that tomorrow's going to come? You don't know that the sun's going to come up, even though it's come up a jillion times. A specific figure there. Even though it's come up that many times, you can't know it's going to come up tomorrow, or if it's going to come up on the other side of the horizon. Just because it's in the past, you know, logically, just because the past has happened doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So we can't know that the future even exists. In fact, you've seen The Matrix, you can't even know that your memories are real. Some other robot could be programming your memories. And that's just one small example that totally refutes the possibility that that your memories are correct. I can't even know that, my name is Jeff. Someone could have programmed that. So take out the past, take out the future. Those are logically, you can't know those for certain. Well, what about my senses? It smells pretty good in here, and I can touch Shaleia next to me. Well, again, you've seen The Matrix. There could be something programming your mind right now that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
Well, let's pause there. Aware of. I can know that one thing. I am aware right now. You cannot refute that, because I don't even know whether you exist or not, but I know for certain I'm aware right now. Ooh, there's a foundational principle. I know I am aware. I am aware. Boom. We can start there. Let's use our logic. If I'm aware, and just follow me here, I'm going to take a leap, but I'll back it up. If I'm aware, then awareness must be the foundation of the universe. Everything must be aware. And here's how I can prove that. If you look at, and here's where I feel like you're having the problem, and here's where I feel like a lot of people have the problem. If you look at the Big Bang Theory, right? The Big Bang Theory says that, there's this little pea-sized molecule with the whole universe contained in it. It blew up, and the universe became, right? Well, maybe you believe that the theory is it explodes, it comes back together, explodes, come back together for all eternity. Well, here's my problem with that. And nobody talks about this, the P is existing inside this great empty nothingness. And in this nothingness exists a somethingness. Well, I like to argue that the nothingness simply does not exist and cannot exist, because nothingness and somethingness are two opposing forces.
Yeah, they can't
good versus evil. Ego versus love. In fact, these two forces cannot possibly exist together. They can't coexist.
Yeah, they're not.
So Alexander, let's bring this back. You can't possibly believe in nothingness if you're aware right now. It doesn't add up. Therefore, the only thing that can exist is somethingness. That somethingness is aware. Everything is aware. Because look again, if there was an opposing force to God, an opposing force to love, an opposing force to somethingness, either that somethingness would totally devour eventually the nothingness, or the nothingness would totally devour the somethingness. They cannot coexist.
And the truth is that God God doesn't recognize something that is not real. Like, for instance, the ego, if God were to recognize the ego as real, then it would become real and become true. But anything that is not created in love doesn't come from God, therefore it doesn't actually exist. It's only something that we created out of alignment. But because we are God's children, we are co-creators, and we are bestowed with certain inheritable gifts and powers, the power to create. And so it's the same with what Jeff was saying with this nothingness. That's not true. If God were to see that, if God were to agree to nothingness, then it would be real, and then
it's not something
it would throw the world into chaos.
Well, it's not something that God could possibly create.
He couldn't, yeah.
Because God is everything, and there's no such thing as nothingness, because everything is only God. There's nothing but God. Everything that you're experiencing, everything that you are, everything is God. Everything is love. So there's no possibility for something to not be God. Whatever you see or think or hear or experience, it's coming from a foundation of God. So knowing this logically, you can't possibly believe that the universe is deteriorating. You can't possibly believe that God doesn't want to bring you everything you desire. How do I know that? That's the real core issue, and that's where I'm feeling a lot of resistance in general consciousness. How can I, knowing this, how can I know for certain that God wants to bring me what I desire, wants to give me everything, every happiness, every delight? That's the core here, Alexander. If God wants to bring me everything that I delight in, everything that's appropriate for me, and isn't trying to take from me or punish me, that's the real core here, isn't it? If God wants to bring it for me, and God is everything that is, well, gosh, I should be getting everything I desire. But if God wants to take from me, well, it'd be real freaking hard to get anything. You could only never have anything. But you know from your experience that you have things, that you've experienced beneficial things. I know personally that, wow, Shaleia coming into my life, that's a wonderful thing that I experienced. So here's the core. And let's all our viewers and / listeners at home, listen very carefully to this piece. You can't believe in a universe where something exists, if you're following logic here at all. You can't believe in a universe at all unless you're a total psychopath, where God wants you to have nothing, or wants to take from you. You can only believe by logical premises, by logical steps, that God wants to bring you everything, because love and God are an effervescing force.
That's the kingdom of heaven.
That's it. That's we've arrived there. God wants to give you everything, and so does
give you everything. Because the kingdom of heaven, yeah, where we are all one.
You haven't left it, right?
Yeah, we never left. We're still here.
Your perspective on it, and that's why you're feeling uncomfortable. And that's why you're creating circumstances which slow you down from having your twin flame. That's why you're creating an experience where you don't have your twin flame right now. But here's the truth. What you're doing right now is bringing you what you desire. God is bringing you everything you desire in this moment. You're creating it. You've just come into a reality where you started without your twin flame. And that's okay. That's what you chose before. And here you are now, choosing to be with your twin flame. So by logic, here's what I suggest, Alexander. Here's my challenge to you. I invite you to challenge the universe to disprove this. Say, God, if you're real, you have to bring me my twin flame. And you have to do it in a way where I don't have to do it. You have to bring me my twin flame, not my job. I'm not the master of the universe. You are. So, God, I'm just going to sit back and do whatever feels good to me. I'm going to toss this twin flame idea in your lap and say, why don't you bring it to me, almighty God? If you are so mighty, bring it to me. I'm not going to do jack shit. I'm going to sit here and follow what feels good to me.
Because those are the steps that you're being guided to take towards your twin flame when you are doing what feels good to you. That's the universe communicating to you. That's God communicating to you what you need to do to continue moving forward down that path.
ultimately God works for you.
Mm-hmm.
God is infinitely powerful. Everything that you're experiencing and seeing and feeling, everything in reality is of God. You're inside God's mind, and it's nothing but God's mind. God created the universe.
In regards to,
Go ahead.
yeah, so in regards to everything that you guys had mentioned about, because I really do like that challenge, and the, every night before I go to bed, I set my intentions, and also I wake up every morning and set my intentions too. And this is the thing that I would like, you guys' insight and assistance into doing, into helping me figure out, because it's a very specific thing, like a specific decision that I have to make in the next week or so. And it's in regards to moving and whatnot. And I live in Los Angeles, but I had planned on moving to. I know Shaleia will like this because she had mentioned it once before, but I'm kind of split between two places because it's like I really like Sedona, Arizona, and I also like San Francisco and like that whole Silicon Valley area. And there's this split inside of myself where I'm like, if I go up to Silicon Valley, all the tech people are going to be there, but there might not be a lot of spiritual people there. I don't know. But then there's a part of me where it's like, if I go to Sedona, it's going to be great. The aliens, spiritual people, everything that I could ever ask for. But there might not be too many tech people. And I'm like, there's this thing where it's, Shaleia, I remember you had mentioned, you were like, if I move to Sedona, it would increase my likelihood of meeting like a spiritual guy or something like that.
Yep, you nailed it on the head.
Yeah, and I'm kind of in this a little bit of a quandary in my life where it's like, it's like, do I go to this city? Do I go to that city? Do I stay where I'm at? And it's the thing, because I'd realized, last night was a very pivotal experience for me because I went out to some meetup last night, and I was just hanging around a whole bunch of tech people. And the thing, it was just kind of the first time that I'd gone to one of these meetings in a while. But I realized I was just kind of, in this. There was about 200 people in the room, and I was just kind of standing very firm in place, just where I am. And I was like, whoa, whoever it is that I'm looking for, whether it's my twin flame or people to do business with, or just even people that I have, and my friends or whatnot, it's like, if I don't know myself, if I don't know who I am, if I don't know what I genuinely truly like, it doesn't matter. Because it's just like, those people who I attract into my life are going to reflect either, one, my not knowing myself, where it's just like, it's just, they're going to, reflect something which is almost like incomplete or not whole within myself. And the thing that I've been really moving towards is that whole thing of foundation. And for me, I guess maybe it's just a personal thing where it's just like I'm kind of at this place where I want to really settle down in the city because I've been, I think you had mentioned this, Shaleia, you've been living such a gypsy lifestyle for the past few years, and I've been doing that kind of the same for myself. But there's almost this fear, which brings me back to that challenge part where it's like there's a fear in my mind saying it's like, if I move to this, I'm going to miss out. It, in economics, they have something called opportunity cost, where it's like if you choose choice A, you miss out on all the benefits of choice B. But if you choose choice B, you miss out on all the opportunities of choice A. And there's this whole thing in my mind where it's like, oh my God, it's like if I move, I might. It's like if I move from the city I'm at, which is Los Angeles, it's like she might be here, and then I'll totally miss out. But it's like, if I pick the wrong city, she'll be somewhere else. But it's kind of along that line because that was the real world example that I was hoping that you guys could help me out with. Talking about truth and foundation and knowing yourself and whatnot.
This is really it's a really good point that you bring up, and I certainly resonate with it. Like you mentioned, I specifically moved to Sedona, Arizona to find my twin flame. And what really ended up happening was I had to find myself. And what was important for me was, when I made that move, it was, does it feel well in my soul? Does it feel well in my soul to move here, or does it feel well in my soul to stay where I was currently living in Washington? And I was like, I don't know what it is, but I need to go down there. And I justified it logically. Well, I must probably going to meet my man down there, because I was in for 2.5 years of huge spiritual transformation and upheaval and clearing, and really getting to know myself on a very personal level, because I was living a 9-to-5 lifestyle, and for about 6 years I was in post-secondary school, being a full-time student. So I never really got to know myself in a way that I had been desiring. So, I made that choice to do it, and it seemed crazy. I didn't go with any job opportunities. So I'm just like, well, I'll figure it out as I go along, as I always do, And, of course, it worked out, and I met a wonderful spiritual teacher there. But the big point that I want to make is that when it comes to your twin flame, across time and space, it doesn't matter how, you two will always find a way to meet each other. And, with Jeff and I, it was over the internet. I thought we were going to meet, and we did have our first meeting in Sedona, but it didn't turn out the way that I thought it was going to turn out. And that's where I realized I can't, it's not my job to focus on how things are going to come. 99% is focusing on what I desire. It's the what that I was needing to place my attention on, and not the how.
So, Alexander, this will clean itself up automatically as we secure that logical point in your mind about God and whose job is what. But what we're doing is helping you clean it up now, so you don't have to do it yourself and have more difficulty doing that. And that it's not your job. Shaleia said it all. It's not your job to to see where your twin flame is going to come. It's not your job to find out the how. That's God's job. So let me talk about something else here. And it's really beautiful that this arises, because you're talking about, we set the foundation in God. That's the number one. Now you're talking about something really beautiful. And if I go to this meetup and I don't know myself, how can I possibly connect with anyone else? Because I might change and I might do something totally different, and I lose all this energy I invested in my friends. I know in our session together, Alexander, you and I were talking about leaking energy as it pertains to your, intimate romantic relationship with your twin flame. If you got your twin flame, all the love you pour into that basket stays there forever, eternally. If you've got a soulmate, well, there might be some love, you put 100 units of love in, and maybe you show up in the next lifetime and there's 52 units, or maybe 100, but eventually they're going to leave, and all that love you invested in them is gone. And in fact, this is love that was meant to be invested into your twin flame union in the first place. So we're talking about conservation of energy here. And if you want to conserve your energy in your just professional and personal relationships, well, you got to know who you are first, because you may pursue a relationship with, this type of thing, and then you realize that you weren't actually at all interested in that in your core. You were interested in something different. Mm-hmm. So you're talking about this because, that the core of, my relationship with God is handled. Now I know what the universe is based on. Now I know my role in the universe and my relationship with God. God brings me everything I desire, and I let him do it. I let her do it. So how do you know yourself? Well, you know yourself by following your feelings. And your feelings, your emotions, are the guideposts to you, to your heaven on earth. And your feelings are the voice of God calling you forth. What do I mean by this? Your feelings are indicating the direction of your thoughts. And the fear is also a helpful indicator. You said, well, I'm afraid that if I stay here, I might miss out on an opportunity. I'm afraid that if I choose A, I might miss out on all the opportunities of B. Well, you can't let fear motivate you, because it's not real. There's no such thing as lack, because you're inside God's infinite, abundant mind. Mm-hmm. You look at just look at nature. How many apples are on a mature apple tree? More than you can eat.
Yeah.
How many seeds are in, on the skin of every strawberry? Enough to have a whole lot of strawberries next season. So God doesn't work in...
Even the sun is a good example of the abundance.
There's a whole lot more energy coming off the sun than we need.
Yeah.
So, God is abundant. The universe is abundant. There's no such thing as lack. The only lack you experience is, what you're choosing to look at or how you're choosing to look at it.
The belief of lack, yeah.
So how could you possibly have not enough? How could you possibly be afraid of missing something when the truth, the core of the universe is abundance, the core of who you are is abundance? Because you're, of the universe, of this mind of God, you're a child of God, you too must be infinitely abundant. You look under a microscope, how many skin cells you have, how many white and red blood cells you have handling things inside your body. Abundance is the way of things. And if you choose to follow fear, which says there's not enough, you're going to miss out on something. You might not do it. You might fail.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to it in this way. Oh, I might miss something. Well, if I do this, right? What is the opposite of that? Where is it pointing not to go? Because that's where you need to go. Go where fear says don't go. Face the fear.
Mm-hmm.
Turn around and say, well, where is fear saying to go? Don't do that. Look at the feeling. Where is it guiding you? Where does love guide you? Mm-hmm. That's the direction that God is asking you to move forward. You can fearmonger all day. You can roll around in fear. You're not going to miss out on anything except the time where you spent focusing on the fear. Because as soon as you let go of the fear and choose to focus your thoughts and feelings back on that expansion, back on that good feeling within you, we all know that good feeling. It's what we're all after. When you focus on that, things start to spring forth. The next step is shown. Oh, it feels good. Well, that's easy. Well, I took that step, now I want to focus on the fear again. Oh, this sucks. Where's the next step? Blah, 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 blah. Let go of the fear. The next step is already apparent to you. God's only going to give you one step at a time. He's not going to burden you with 50 steps. One step's enough. One step is plain.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even know what step 2 is until he gets you there. Because he's a genius creator. What grand master artist knows exactly what stroke they're going to do until they make it? You just don't know. Even if they have a clear concept of what they're going to create, the master is going about it in the moment.
Yeah.
God is that master that we are imitating and are creating.
Yeah.
God is not the bean counter who says it has to be this rigid way. God is not like that. God does it left brain and right brain, masculine and feminine, logical and creative.
So I think our feelings are the logic of our hearts. Mm-hmm. Because I had no idea I was moving to Sedona. I actually planned on moving somewhere else that seemed, in my mind, logical. It was like a big city out on the West Coast, and, I had some friends out there and all that, and what I perceived as opportunities for myself. But when last minute, my friend said, hey, let's go to Sedona, and, I had a night to think about it, and I had to ride my emotional wave because I never make a decision on an emotional high. Last time I did that, I bought a car, and it broke down a month later. So I wait, I wait till my emotions are low and I'm feeling, I'm at a low point. And if I still feel good about that choice, then I know that that's the right choice for me. But I never make a choice on a high. It backfires all the time because I'm not in my clear spot.
We're moving to a new place here, and it's understanding what your true power is. Because you're not just this, I choose this, God do everything for me. You're a creative being with enormous power. Mm-hmm. You have the power to create, and you create with your choices. You create with your intentions. Shaleia moved to Sedona intending to meet her twin flame there, and she did.
And the funny thing is that he was on my Facebook. He's my Facebook friend all along before I even moved to Sedona. I had no idea. I totally bypassed him because we weren't resonating at that time energetically.
I looked at her and I'm like, yeah, she's pretty, but that's not the image of the woman that I desire.
We both had false images about who our twin flame was, and
so it's not about the appearances, right?
No,
the appearances aren't it.
You will know your twin flame by your heart, by how it feels, not with your physical eyes, but with your spiritual sight and with your heart.
So Shaleia was creating this experience where she went to Sedona to meet her twin flame. How did she do that? She chose, I'm going to Sedona. I'm choosing to meet my twin flame. That's her intention.
That was it.
She followed all along. Well, she met a spiritual teacher she worked with for a long time that helped her to develop processes that would heal her inner self, develop processes that would
clear block my twin flame,
and developed a relationship with her foundation of God.
Yes.
So in clearing herself out and in developing her relationship with God, she had the two prior foundations she needed to really build a union with her twin flame and meet me. And that's what she did. She created that experience. Choose to be with my twin flame. That's my intention. And she went for it. She followed the feelings. Your feelings are indicating which way to go.
Because even though Jeff was already on my Facebook, if I hadn't have gone to Sedona for myself personally, I don't know if we would have met.
It could be Sedona. It could be Siberia or Alaska or the bottom of the sea. It's just how she chose to structure. I'm going to Sedona to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm going to the grocery store to do this. I'm going to go work at Kroger for the, until I find my twin flame. If that's your intention, well, that's it. That's your intention.
Yeah. And one of the reasons why it was important for me to go to Sedona was to do my spiritual work, which was really to clear any beliefs, thoughts, and feelings based on separation from God. Because any time I'm coming from that place of fear, which is separation from God, I am not a resonant match with my twin flame. I'm actually repelling that energy. But when I'm making a choice out of love, I am vibrating to the place where I am already one with my twin flame, and therefore I attract my twin flame much more quicker.
So let's get clear, Alexander, on your core intention. Why do you desire to move? Why are you thinking about moving?
There are, I guess it kind of comes down to that whole thing about personal mission, where it's like, I can do it in either one of those cities. They both have advantages, and they have things that I might want to possibly change about them, but I really do like both of those cities.
Sure.
And there are two cities that it's like, if I had to spend hypothetically like the rest of my life in one of those, I would be okay with either one of those. And because it's like, we live in this world where infinite possibilities, and it's kind of along the lines of what you guys had said, where it's just like you guys were on Facebook for 2 years or however long that you guys know each other, and even though Shaleia, that you had put that intention out there to meet, I'm assuming that you wanted to go to Sedona to meet whoever it was in the physical, and
that was like my intention.
It's like we live in this world where it's just like, hey, it's like, we're talking on the phone. I could probably already have like a friend request from some, my true twin flame. But like, it's just like, it's like anything can happen. And I think, the way that because the best way that I can put it is that, okay, so I'm sure that you guys will talk about like ascension and blah blah, moving to the 3D, 4D, 5D plus everything like that.
Sure.
And just having this conversation, because one thing I will say is that the fear has like completely gone away. Like it's like I know exactly what to do right now.
Awesome.
Because the best way that I can put it is that in the same way that this world is moving from almost like having the sense of duality, where it's just like it's either this choice or that choice.
Right.
I say that we're moving to a place of like multiplicity, where it's just like you can have it all.
Yeah.
And the thing that I realized for my lifestyle is it's just like I can actually live in both, and I totally forgot about that because I'm so used to just like being in like one place at the same at one time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But the thing that I will mention though is that even though that this fear has kind of gone away, it has brought up kind of like, peeling onions and whatnot. And it showed me what my true, genuine fear is about not even like moving, not even like twin flames, but just like, I guess, well, yeah, me and my twin flame, but it brought me to like my true kind of like hold back inside myself. And the thing that it is, and this is a little bit of a different topic, but it's kind of I really have, I'm not sure whether it's the fear or just like a strong reluctance to like having kids, having a child. And I know that this is a different topic and whatnot, but there's
that's how you were choosing to work through the question I've asked you, and it's fine however it happens. You're following your flow, and you're doing it you're in the genius level right now. This is infinite intelligence working inside you.
Yeah, because the thing that I'll mention is that you guys had released that video, the twin flame sex video and whatnot, and it made me start thinking along the lines of, it's just like, oh, the universe keeps telling me, it's like, when you meet your twin flame, get prepared to eventually have a child. Mm-hmm. And for me, I've always been like this person where I'm like, oh, like no kids, because, they take time, and I just want to like go places all the time and just, not have to worry about someone else.
Yeah.
But at the flip side, there's also this, I know that I feel that way probably because I've always been interacting with soulmates, so it's like, I know that we're not compatible, and it's just like, I wouldn't want to like raise a child with them. Nothing wrong with doing that.
Yeah, I totally understand that. You don't want to have a child with the wrong person.
You don't want to marry the wrong person.
You don't want to marry the wrong person.
Invest your love into the wrong person.
Yeah. And when you partner with your twin flame, it'll be very evident if having a child is right for you or not. And you'll both be on the same page. There won't even be like much of a discussion, if you know what I mean. You're already on the same page with your twin. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I guess that was kind of the one fear about it, where it's just like, if I don't want Sam and then she does, it's just kind of that conflict. But it is kind of like what you had said, where it's just like on the same page.
Yeah, you will be.
It's like, you'll know once you get there. Yeah.
So I'd like to point something out that you're talking about, and it makes it very much more clear for me what you're really asking here when you ask about moving, when you ask about having a kid, or where should you go. And this is something that happens to Shaleia and I all the time. And here's what it looks like. We get this amazing, new, fresh idea, and it feels so good. It seems a little weird, but it feels really good to just follow it. And then we follow the logic of the idea. Maybe it's, maybe it's time to get a new car. Okay, and we follow that logic. And part of it's like, it's really not time to get a new car, but let's just follow this logic because it feels really good to follow this idea of new car. And as we follow it, we realize, well, I don't really want a new car after all. But it took us a few days of talking about it to realize, yeah, well, it was obvious all along. Not time to get a new car. This one's great. But the universe planted that idea in your mind for a reason. And you're saying, like, look, the universe is telling me get ready to have a kid. It doesn't mean literally get ready to have a kid. It means work through that thought. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what's going to happen as you work through it. There's no purpose to it other than follow that flow. There's no end result where, okay, now I'm ready to have a kid. Did that next. It's a flow, and it's asking you, the universe is asking you to follow this thought because it's going to do something particular that God knows is going to help you. That's going to bring you closer to your greater desires. Even if it's the silliest, weirdest thing. Like, I need to move to X place. Yeah. And I better not move to Y place, and I better not move. Follow that feeling all the way to the end. Put your passion into it. Put your love into it. Put your purpose into it. And do it in a detached way without any expectations of what's going to happen. Because if you follow that flow, expecting something's going to happen and then something doesn't, well, that hurt. Mm-hmm. Well, I've been betrayed. But you missed the point. The point wasn't for an end result that you're seeing. It was for an end result of release, of letting go, of moving forward in the right direction. It's the flow that brings you what you desire. You're not going to land in a particular place and now I've got my twin flame, that's it. Your twin flame is a constant flow of energy. Anything you desire in your life that's real is a constant flow of energy. And the universe is guiding you with flowing energy. well, let's shave a little bit off here. Let's add a little bit there. There's a master sculptor going on working with you and co-creating your twin flame in your life, your purpose in your life. And you've got to move with that flow. There's never, ever, ever eternally going to be a point where you reach it. I got it. I got my twin flame. I got my purpose. I got my house. I got my kid. I got my white picket fence. That's it. I'm done.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah, it's like
never
what Abraham says. You never get it done.
Exactly.
Finish, never. Yeah.
So we're running up to the end of this call, and it's exactly 11 p.m. here, and I saw it was 1 hour and 1 second, so it was perfect.
11.
So I want to end on this point. You never get it done. You're never going to arrive at your twin flame. You're always unfolding and co-creating with God, this master sculptor, your twin flame's energy in your life. And if you just let go and let it happen and do what feels perfectly natural to you, do what you can't possibly not do, you're going to find that energy of your twin flame flowing rapidly and ever expandedly in your life.
Awesome.
So, Alexander, thank you so much for joining us in this episode of Twin Flames Universe Talk Show. And it was a pleasure having you on the show. And for all those out there listening, please visit twinflamesuniverse.com for more episodes, more awesome Twin Flame information and stuff.
We'll see you over there. Thank you, Alexander.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have a beautiful night, guys.
You
You too.
too.